And welcome back to the Pixel Vision Podcast. I'm your host, GamerRez. I'm joined by
Deft Beck, who couldn't wait to introduce himself.
Apparently not. And also, once again, rejoining us is...
Hello, I'm Jay.
Slime Man Jay.
Well, JV or Jay, but yes, I am also a slime.
Your image is that of a slime.
I am very much a slime.
You are that of a gelatinous organism with absolutely no spine.
You're
very fitting of yourself.
A very Kool-Aid fairing man. Slime.
Okay.
I haven't had Kool-Aid in so long.
Oh my god, Kool-Aid is so toxic to us slimes.
Would you technically just be like ectoplasma?
No, ectoplasm is ghosts.
You know,
but there's a Kool-Aid.
Is the Kool-Aid Man a ghost?
Do you know that?
Do we know
how
who he was?
Humans...
How did he get here? Do we know who he used to be? This is the true mystery of our generation.
You know how you
We'll talk about video games eventually.
You know how you humans have chads? That's pretty much us. That's pretty much Kool-Aid in slime.
Do you aspire to break through walls and scream at people? Wrong answer. Yeah!
Do you inspire to break through people and scream at walls?
No, I am not that kind of slime.
You're not a Twitter user.
I want to break free.
That was actually really good. Alright.
So,
before we go into a torrent of nonsense, what is today's topic?
Today's topic is...
I gotta add a dolphin noise.
That's why I did it.
Today's topic is hype. Well, the title I came up with was, Is Hype Worth the Hype? The Hype Machine. And other titles I can't think of right now. So we're mainly talking about the hype cycle and the idea of building up a new release video game to such a hype that you're super duper excited for it, and whether or not that the game actually lives up to that hype in the end.
I am the hype.
I was born in it.
Molded by it. I had not seen an E3 press conference until I was a man.
Actually, that is absolutely true with me.
No one cared about my game until I put on the pre-order bonus.
Just wait till you get a load of my microtransactions.
The game is $59.99.
And it just works.
It just works. It just works.
Well, now
sponsored by Todd Howard.
Alright, enough fucking around. Alright,
yes.
Whoops, sorry.
So,
seriously, we're losing it today.
We have a lot of good chemistry, or the LSD is working.
That's what that is.
It was in the lasagna I fed you guys.
Oh, okay.
He did actually make us lasagna, so we have video evidence of this.
All right, so let's talk about the past.
So we're gonna talk about the past, the present, and the future of the hype machine. So in the past, how did you get hyped for a video game? Well, you probably read a lot of GamePro. You read a lot of official Nintendo magazine, maybe OPM if you're a PlayStation kid. You probably looked at those previews and had a couple little screenshots they got from the press kit. They got in an email in 320 by 128 or something.
Yeah, or they basically got a really early copy of the game or something.
Yeah, a lot of those little preview discs would pop up and they have the first couple of levels or something, or here's the first section of the game, and they would use their screen capture thing to do it, and they would put it in the magazine. They'd use the drag tool or whatever, and it'd be in the middle of the text. Maybe a couple pages maybe of this stuff, maybe some developer interview stuff.
Sometimes they would send you demos too, and it would come with America Online.
I mean, that's how I got into Crash Team Racing. It came bundled in with Spyro 3 Year of the Dragon.
The demo for it. Right?
The demo for it. That's how I learned of it.
I see.
Demo discs were super important back in the day. They were often the prototypes of the games that were being worked on at the time.
Well, that's what a demo is.
Yeah, often the demo... Okay, so there's the demos that the consumers played.
A demo's not a prototype, actually you're wrong.
There's a difference between consumer demos and what the demos that would be given to publishers as milestones would be. So often, what's called... When a game maker makes a game and they pitch it to a publisher in the day, what they would do is it would be a vertical slice of gameplay. Here's all, that's a term they would actually use. Here's all the stuff that you would do in a typical, playthrough of the game. Please give us money to finish more of it. That's often what those publisher demos would be.
Sounds a lot like pitching.
Yeah, and consumer demos would be more or less, here's a section of the finished game or a near finished version of this part of the game, and it's meant to like entice you to go and pre-order or whatever.
So kind of like how Kickstarters are nowadays.
Yeah.
Yeah, similar. Only
except they would actually let you play the game before you ask for $50 for it.
Sorry,
some Kickstarters let you play the game.
See, back in the day, you paid $8, you got OPM, you could play Sly 2. It's like, wow, Sly 2 is clearly gonna come out. I'm gonna buy it. It's coming out in the fall. I don't have to wait 2 years for Sly 2. Maybe Carmelita's gonna get cut out because I didn't pay $150.
Yeah. I mean, technically speaking, though, isn't that still just being pitched to, like, the actual, like, journalists of the magazines? Speaking of that, the game journalists...
Yeah, the journalists, they have to butter them up with the... they have to write a good preview, so they have to write an exciting demo.
Yeah, so in terms of, like, corruption and stuff, especially Nintendo power, like...
Was that less corruption, more or less? It's
exaggerating the truth.
It's those kind of magazines, OPM, Official Xbox, and Official PlayStation magazine, they were all more or less kind of in the same area as... like, literally within the same kind of, like, region.
They were less critics, like, in terms of journalism. They were more like just marketing tools. Like, Nintendo Power, like, just, like, advertises, like, Back to the Future was this NES game coming out, and they didn't really say anything bad about it.
Yeah, was it an LJN game?
Yes.
Oh, no.
It uses that distinct timer that LJN is known for. That is literally what it says in the magazine. What does that even mean?
They had to come up with something positive to say about this.
That's pretty bad.
So often, like, towards the late 90s, like, mid-2000s, what you would also watch are channels like G4 and shows like X-Play and Toonami. You know, Toonami used to do the game reviews that Tom would do.
I love Tom's game reviews. They're on YouTube. People have that shit upload on YouTube and stuff.
He does them sporadically now and then, too.
Yeah, the new Toonami, I know.
If you hear a little zipper noise in the background, there's a very enthusiastic motorcyclist in the neighborhood.
There's a lot of them around here.
Yeah, Sundays apparently are like the most popular day for motorcyclists to get together and like do those like biker gang things.
Huh. I didn't know we had a biker gang here.
No, biker gangs just want to go do drugs and commit crime, bud.
You'd be surprised. The Harley Davidson like average age of someone buying it is like 56.
They don't really.
So midlife crisis mode.
Sure.
Basically.
The midlife crisis gangs, they're not about causing violence or whatever, they're about getting breakfast.
Well, that's beyond midlife. That's beyond, yeah, basically. They're like, let's all go to the diner. That's about the most dangerous thing these people can basically do is all try to use the bathroom at the same time.
Because the urinals are really tiny.
Well, some things about them are tiny.
So often with G4, you know, Toonami, they have the game reviews, but G4 and X-Play and Electric Playground, Cinematech to a degree, all of the content they had for the previews, they would like often what they would be invited to these things called junkets, which were like they'd be in the area, they'd go out to the developer or whatever within the area, and they would go and like play a part of the game, and it'd be like a PR event basically. They'd be put on by the publisher to preview the game, or they'd be sent like the preview code, and they would like record gameplay footage, and then Adam or Morgan would record like their like whatever was written for them to read out loud. In effect.
Right. Adam Sessler and Morgan.
Yes.
What I liked about X-Play from my memories of it, as well as like Electric Playground before that as well, is it was kind of when gaming was still very, very niche. It wasn't seen as just a children's thing, but it still wasn't mainstream by any means.
Well, it was very much the sort of like teenager, sort of young adult.
Yeah, so first off, G4 in general, like, it was not on basic cable, so you had to actually have like satellite or
digital cable usually.
Digital cable or some kind of like $100 a month cable service to basically watch it. Like,
yeah, I was blessed to have that.
Oh, you're blessed to have it. I didn't even have it then. I was probably more poor than you at one point.
I mean, G4 is how I learned how to complete my Pokemon Ranger game, okay?
Really?
Yeah, no, that's the show cheat codes. I did not know how to beat the water area. I had to get a Wailord to complete my dex. A Waymer to complete the dex.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't find them.
Yeah.
So in essence, what you have a lot of these shows is they would maybe have a segment on like a bunch of new games, or like there was one instance in which X-Play did an episode entirely about like one game, and they did a preview of the game 13, which is based on a French comic book. It was like a It was a first-person shooter that had like a comic book cel-shading style, and then they gave it like a 3 out of 5 when they actually reviewed it.
Yeah, I wanted to state that, though, as I was talking about X-Plane and everything, is this was back before the days, or not the days, the current days of YouTube reviewers and stuff, both professionally paid, like IGN GameSpot, as well as just internet personalities and celebrities, down to just average Joes. I think a lot of the influence of YouTube reviewers comes from things like X-Play, because before YouTube was a thing in online video sharing in general, for the most part, in terms of how massive it is today, they were already doing kind of a lot of the goofy stuff when they were reviewing the games. Like, there was...
the skits.
Yeah, like they had skits and stuff, and they, both with the game reviews, and also just... Like, there was a thing where they made, actually, the X-Play game, and they spent all this money on it, and it was terrible. And then the guy says, "We got the X-Play game made. By the way, it's only on Dreamcast." It's like after Dreamcast already failed years later. It's just hilarious. And like that's like something like that kind of like joke though. That's like a thing you would expect from a YouTuber.
Yeah.
Or in another case, there was like an RPG game and it had like a Michael Jackson-esque character, and they're like, also this guy. Yes, that's the best we can do for a Michael Jackson reference. Oh, and for some reason, Dante from Devil May Cry is in here. Like, if I took that footage and just threw it on a YouTube channel, aside from the awful 240p quality, you probably wouldn't be able to tell that it, is actually from X-Play, because I think that was kind of how this stuff started.
A lot of X-Play you can still find on YouTube, and it's a good time capsule as to, like, games when they were still being, like, talked about on television. Also, meanwhile, in other countries, there were shows like... There was a show called Bad Influence that was like a proto-X-Play that only aired in like the early to mid-90s in the UK on the Sky Network. And it had a very similar tone. It was on a children's block, so it wasn't nearly as edgy as X-Play could get.
Even though the name sounds super edgy.
But it was super interesting because they would do previews and reviews of games and stuff, but it had the whole angle of parents don't understand games, kids get what games are and they think they're cool, so why don't we have a show celebrating that? And they more or less, it was sort of interesting because they would split games between, like, they would have kids review, like, Twinbee, and they would be, like, the boys liked it, the girls liked it for these reasons. They would give, like, different scores for the boys and girls and stuff. Plus, they would actually go and, like, show off the new interesting games that are made in the UK and stuff, and visit with developers and stuff.
X-Play's better.
I'm just saying, it was a predecessor to that sort of format.
I get it, but seeing it, I don't know, it was kind of, I don't want to use, like, the word cringe, but cringe. It felt even more like it didn't feel like they were really having fun with it. It felt like almost like a science experiment. Like, okay, what does Group A think of the game, and what does Group B think of the game? Actually, it was just like, yo, let's talk about video games. Yeah, like, which was a big deal then. Now it's like, okay, yeah, every YouTube channel ever.
Yeah, and speaking of YouTube, it was the beginning of things like game trailers, which was one of the first game trailer outlets on YouTube.
Yes, that's where YouTube still got.
Because before that, you had to go on GameSpot and then download a trailer or watch like a choppy stream. But YouTube was a platform for all these third-party companies to go in. Nowadays, it's a lot more corporate, but back in the day, game trailers would get the stuff. They would upload it onto YouTube, and you could get it in decent quality for once.
Yeah, game trailers also, generally speaking.
Game trailers used to have their own site to upload stuff too.
Yes, they did. They had their own content too, as they also were part of Screw Attack.
Yep, and Screw Attack was among one of the first hosts of the Angry Video Game Nerd.
Yeah, you could say technically pioneered a kind of subset review genre that I myself have already dabbled in.
They did the Death Battle, right? Screw Attack? Was that something?
Screw Attack did, yes. Screw Attack does actually own Death Battle, that is correct. Mm-hmm.
But often, in the midst of this early days of the hype machine, what would happen is the hype cycles weren't nearly as long. Like, when you learned of a game, unless it's a Japanese game where you have to put it into English and then wait for cartridges to be made and sent out to stores, you didn't have to wait that long for a new game to come out.
Yeah, you generally did not.
Because games took less time to make.
They did. They had smaller teams, too.
And, simpler hardware to a degree. You might have had to deal with licensing and making sure the brand was being represented if you're making, like, a movie game.
That's still not an issue today anyway. It's probably even harder today because now superhero movies and stuff are actually profitable and not box office death.
When's the last time you've seen a game based on a movie? Like, seriously?
They just keep trying to cash in on Avengers. It's not working.
Although I am kind of excited for Square Enix's Marvel video game.
Avengers, yes.
So you're the one person out of the thousands that hate it.
I think it looks okay. I mean, it's a little more
The
interesting.
reception's bad. I don't know if you noticed that.
They're tying it in with the Spider-Man game. It's their video game universe.
I mean, whatever. I'm just saying, basically, that's the reception. I don't care either way. My point is more so, basically, when there were games coming out based on like superhero movies and stuff, and licensed properties in general, it was usually used as a cash-in.
Yeah.
Now it's more like the movie is actually what's inspiring the game.
Yeah.
It's like it's kind of an like the Spider-Man game itself is still kind of somewhat still inspired by the different Sony movies and stuff, but it's not like following like that.
It
story
doesn't follow
itself.
the story. No, it's
no.
its own
But if
thing.
they didn't come out, this game would not exist, and you know it.
Right. And what also happened is E3 has been a thing since at least the mid-90s. Before that, there was the Consumer Electronics Show, but then around the mid to late 90s, E3 began, and then we started seeing the idea of waiting for E3 and all the big trailers to come out. And then there would be gamer Christmas, you could call it.
Okay.
But what would happen is, oftentimes we wouldn't see the trailers, because for a while there wasn't a YouTube to go and watch them on. When they announced the Wind Waker game, they showed Zelda, as it was called. All people had were screenshots of the initial trailer that people took photos of.
Yeah, you know what the problem with that was too? Because this was the first GameCube Zelda. When they originally showed off what the GameCube can do when it was coming out, they used a demo of basically Link versus Ganondorf, and everybody was in awe of it, and they did not get that version. Instead, it's here's cel-shaded Link, that's also looks much younger. I mean, Wind Waker is a great game. It's aged wonderfully. But the reception when it was first revealed was very bad.
People have warmed up to it big time.
Oh, yeah.
I've never played it, so...
Wind Waker is not complete.
Yeah.
It's obviously very rushed in many ways, but tonally and graphics-wise, there's a cohesive direction to it.
There's enough there to get a full Zelda game out of it.
The cartoony graphics betray, the story.
Yeah. The story's actually pretty dark for most Zeldas.
I'd say it's a very expressive manga-style Zelda that's very
cool.
unique.
Yeah.
And if you like that style, there's Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks.
Yeah, no.
I've heard Phantom
Don't.
Hourglass stuff that.
Don't play Phantom Hourglass.
Well, just so we can go back on topic, E3 sparked a lot of these conversations in the early days because until we could see the trailers for ourselves, it fueled a lot of rumors and lots of forum arguments over things that we didn't necessarily have the full context of.
Well, we got to see them a little bit on TV shows like G4 or TV channels like G4, also Attack of the Show too. I remember seeing the trailer for Kingdom Hearts, basically, or Kingdom Hearts 2 actually.
I remember that. That was a big deal.
Yeah, the Kingdom Hearts 2 trailer was a huge deal.
The
Fun
first
fact.
trailer where they played the orchestrated version of Simple and Clean. I watched that on repeat as a kid.
Yeah.
Fun fact: my parents didn't let me play Kingdom Hearts as a kid because they thought it had something to do with drugs.
How's that a fun fact?
Well,
I don't know.
It sounds like a sad fact
it's an
of your
anti-fun
life.
fact.
given the
It was-
story, that's not too far off.
It wasn't until I came home from, get this, Blockbuster Video with a used copy of Kingdom Hearts 2, and I played it in front of my mother, who was fighting with me about it, and she saw fucking Mickey Mouse pop up on the screen, and she said, "Oh, okay, maybe this isn't so bad."
I have... it was just...
Jay, you really were right.
How old were you?
I was 11.
Dude, when I was 11, I was finding my mom to just let me play Grand Theft Auto so kids wouldn't make fun of me.
My mom wouldn't let me rent Parappa the Rapper 2 because she doesn't like rap music.
You guys got weird parents. My first PlayStation 2 game was Devil May Cry.
Then what would happen in the past also is pre-order culture was really burgeoning. There weren't a lot of pre-order bonuses in the early 2000s.
Honestly, I'm not too warm on pre-order bonuses.
Well, I remember the first pre-order bonus I was excited for was when you pre-order Gold and Silver, you got the CD-ROM with it.
Yeah,
It had screenshots of stuff.
Yeah.
It had previews of the shitty soundtrack.
That made me cream my Jimmy John's.
Yeah, also I think,
Okay,
pre-ordering, Zelda, too, they have, the golden controller and stuff. Which is a Toys R Us exclusive, is worth a ton of money now.
But Code Steam apparently had the worst... Codename Steam apparently had the worst pre-order bonus. They gave you a Majora's Mask pin. Wasn't even related to the game.
Well,
the game was absolutely terrible.
The issue at hand was the 3DS's early life was very tepid.
Did you say Majora's Mask is terrible?
No, pin.
Oh, why's the pin terrible?
It just was a regular, plastic pin with gold paint on it.
What else is a pin most of the damn time?
But it had nothing to do with the game.
An actual sculpted pin. And it came with a game that wasn't even related to it.
Wait, what? How does a Majora's Mask pin come with a different game?
It was Codename Steam, and it came with a Majora's Mask pin as a pre-order bonus.
What the heck is Codename Steam?
Codename Steam?
I don't know what this is.
That would take an entire podcast to explain.
Codename Steam, for those who are not aware, is the game that Intelligent Systems made before they made Fire Emblem Awakening.
It's pretty much Abraham Lincoln takes his team of very different historical figures on a mission to fight ice aliens. Oh yeah, and Abraham Lincoln has a mech.
It's basically Valkyria Chronicles in the 3DS if it were really weird.
How about you just explain Evangelion to me, because that would make more sense.
So there wasn't such a big push for pre-orders back in the day, at least from what I can remember, and midnight releases were a big thing, especially for consoles, huh?
Not really. Consoles were always the big rush with the holidays.
Yes.
Console reveals were also not I feel like now consoles are so pointlessly overly hyped. Because back in then it was like, hey, by the way, here's the PS3 is going to come out soon. Here's a quick thing of Hideo Kojima in front of it with his boomerang silver controller that he's so proud of. And you saw that for all of a minute, and it's like, okay, that was it. But now it's like, Microsoft has to announce that, Xbox Scarlet has been worked on, and it's going to be great.
It's going to change the world of gaming.
And they spend 20 minutes on nothing. It's 20 minutes of nothing. But I know we're not in the present really yet.
Okay, I'm super serial. This is really going to happen.
Well, it does happen. It's not like the greatest thing.
No one cares about it, really.
Not really. There's no point.
Microsoft makes shitty systems anyways.
I mean, arguably the Xbox One is fine. It doesn't have a failure rate like the 360 did. It's got nothing to do with the system being shitty. It has to do with the games are not. There's no excuses.
Yes, I mean, the game...
That doesn't make the system itself shitty.
I mean, in terms of how they run it. Apparently Scarlet is going to have, no physical games. It's going to be all download games.
Yeah, it's going to be a doorstop as far as I'm concerned.
So in short, a lot of the hype culture in the past was built around the primitiveness of social media and the channels in which games were promoted and hyped. So, how did that change in today's modern era?
Yeah, which we're moving towards.
I think the modern hype culture is really, really, people zone in on the smallest little details. For those who don't know the channel Game Explain, they primarily...
I actually don't.
It's a channel that mainly focuses on Nintendo stuff. They go and they watch, the Nintendo E3 presentation, and they pick out one of the games and they say, if you didn't notice this in the background, this means this could be in the game. Well, find out.
That's kind of
They watch the Animal Crossing trailer that's 2 minutes long and they make a 20-minute video out of it.
It's not harmful, but it is basically very unoriginal content.
It's kind of reaching.
It is. Oh, it's extremely reaching. It is the very definition of let's scrape this barrel as much as we can. A lot of content these days is basically just, here's the thing that so many people saw, but we broke it down to bite-sized pieces for you. Give us advertising money.
Yes.
That is the truth of it.
And
which is why it pays to have some kind of likable personality, so that you can at least differentiate yourself from the really hundreds of channels that are doing this.
Thanks for listening to Pixel Vision, everyone.
Well, I don't know. I think more so, kind of just give more of our opinions and takes on it, rather than, just regurgitate something that's out there. Like, we go through, 100 topics in 10 minutes? You're not going to get that out of videos.
What it amounts to
Which is good and bad.
Print media has died, so you can't get screenshots. And I mean, there are still gaming magazines. The Game Informer, for the moment, exists. Well,
toilet paper.
Not for long, because GameStop is going down the toilet.
Yeah. Speaking of toilet paper is worth more than Game Informer right now.
I used to be so excited to get a Game Informer every month.
My grandmother still keeps subscribing me to it. She's like, asked you why? Like, I guess. I mean, I have the. It was really weird because in high school I had it, and she was still getting it for me, and I was like, this is still cool because I kind of like reading it in school because I know I didn't have a smartphone then because this was still the single digit 2000s. This is annoying to say. So it was kind of cool to still be able to like flip through that and then play my original DS or something. But then by college, it's just. And then when I had a full-time job, I can literally just go on the internet, I can pull up my phone, what am I... Plus, Graham, you don't have to waste your money anymore, seriously.
Yeah.
What happens now is that we have... Okay, so print media is dead, there's no more gaming TV shows, really. What we have now are not only official channels, such as the PlayStation, Xbox, official Nintendo channel, but there's a billion little third-party channels that are all trying to get people's attention. And you know what that's given rise to? Reaction culture.
Yeah, well, reaction culture, you can argue, started with AVGN in terms of the video game space.
But in that case, it's like, he's a fictional character exaggerating the tendency of a stereotypical nerd. But in a lot of terms of the reaction, like Etika, he's the biggest well-known reaction person for games, right?
Who?
Etika. I don't know how to pronounce his name.
Speaking of Etika,
the black guy who...
He's gone missing.
Yeah, I know.
Like, actually, gone missing completely.
Surprisingly, I don't know who this one is.
But it amounts to, he's a YouTube personality gamer who would get really, very exaggeratedly excited over, game announcements and stuff.
Yeah. Well, maybe you didn't get excited, you got angry.
But the comparison, I don't think, works because it's not necessarily a reaction.
True.
It's a scripted set of jokes to a particular sequence of things in a game that's already out. It has been out for a while.
And it's back.
So, in the case of reaction culture, it's people, you see the camera, they're watching a YouTube video, in the corner you could see, what they're watching, and then you watch their reaction to it, and so that builds up the hype.
Oh, you're actually talking more in the sense of reacting to, trailers.
Yeah.
No, that's far worse.
I feel like that's just pointless.
It's very lazy content.
But it feeds into hype culture.
It does.
People like to do those, here's 12 different YouTubers reacting to the Kingdom Hearts 3 reveal or something.
Yeah, or even worse yet, outside of gaming, there's people react to controversies and stuff.
That's a completely different thing altogether. But
I know, but it's just as it's just as bad though.
Yeah,
you might as well be watching the news. A bad thing happened. Here's 10 minutes about it and why it's bad.
Yeah, it's very short-lived content.
I can't do it.
And not only those sort of reactions are fueled by the fact that the hype cycle has gotten so hilariously overextended. Now we wait years for most AAA games.
I mean, that's fine, because then we don't wait years for AAA games. You just kind of keep getting things like Assassin's Creed pumped out over and over. Well, when we don't wait years for AAA games, you just get garbage kind of just pumped out over and over. That's why you get Call of Duty cloned in there.
Although, Odyssey was kind of good.
What was good?
Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
I don't care. I'm not playing any of them at this point. I haven't played anything since 3.
But I'm just talking about things like Death Stranding.
I am so hyped for that.
Yeah. Okay, I mean, I am too. Well, I think that comes from more so... I get actually, I'm going to argue this one with you in that sense.
Finally, actual debate.
Yes! Somebody's going to actually fight someone else on their opinion.
I'm going to punch you in the face.
I am going to disagree so hard with you right now.
My face is going to blow off like a...
Oh, I'm getting a real clue
Skin's going to peel. Getting a raging clue.
So I can understand the sense of building hype for the same thing that comes out every year. Guys, here comes the new Call of Duty. Yeah, we just played it a year ago.
Oh yay, the new WWE game!
Yeah, that too.
You shit did it
Sports
again.
games, NBA, 2K, whatever, Madden, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, year 2077, whatever. Yeah, those games keep coming out, and they build up hype for what is essentially just a copy and paste job.
It's a little bit boring.
But where I'm going to disagree with you with things like Death Stranding, in terms of things getting hyped like this, and Kingdom Hearts getting hyped, is you have that real passionate fan base and that real passionate developer. Because remember, a lot of the new hype stuff isn't even really based entirely around what was essentially original video game culture. Because, like, years ago, like, when Metal Gear Solid 2 was announced, and the trailer for that was shown, that was a big deal. And the hype was basically just as big as you could argue Death Stranding is now, with the same demographic. But if you think the person who is hyped to play Apex Legends, at least, or the next Battle Royale, is as hyped for Death Stranding, that's most likely not true at all. I think building hype for big passion projects behind worthy names of developers, especially industry vets like Kojima, Iga with Castlevania, since Bloodstain came out and is doing really well so far. I think that hype is more warranted, and I think it's fair because it's getting harder to even make games like this now. Not even just because of how much bigger budgets are.
They're like movies now.
But to actually make a fully realized good game, a good product even, that isn't just trying to be like, oh, we're just going to make all our money off microtransactions and loot boxes. We don't really care how good the game is. Anthem. I think they deserve the hype. I think you need to build up that hype because this game lives or dies by the amount of copies it sells.
Exactly.
Even Devil May Cry, which, by the way, Devil May Cry 5 is really short. It has to be. That's the type of game Devil May Cry 5 is.
Counterpoint, Final Fantasy VII Remake.
I'm looking forward to that.
I can't wait. And no, that needs hype too, because Square is pouring resources into this. They need it, because
they lost a lot of money with 15.
They lost money on KH3 too. It did really well, but it still didn't do what they wanted. 15 they lost more though. So much more.
Oh, they poured like a year and a half worth of time.
15 costs more to make than Kingdom Hearts 3 still, which is sad.
People still like Kingdom Hearts 3 was like perfect. Well, not a perfect game, but like...
No, it's not. Jay, I understand you love this series, but you are the minority. It was not that well... It was not well received as 2. Not even close.
I'm not saying it was well received. I'm still saying that it was a good game.
It's a good game, but is it... Okay, here's a sense of hype building up a actual gamer demographic in the sense of... I play video games to actually play video games in the sense that are specifically created for actual video game. I'm sorry, it's a bit hard to word, but
no worries.
How do I'm trying to basically separate the casual gamer that is most likely going to just be getting their fill of like the kind of like dude bro, FPS, more generic action RPG like Assassin's Creed, compared to, I follow like all the original developers and stuff, especially the Japanese developers especially. Like I follow Resident Evil, Metal Gear, things like that. That revival lately, like Resident Evil 2 was hyped as well. Again, well-known developer that is only going to be cared about by actual gamers. Not somebody that just happens to play video games, but is actually seriously into games as not just a simple hobby of I like to shoot things, but into the culture and the people who are probably listening to this podcast. That'd probably be the best way to describe this. If you're listening to this podcast right now, you probably fit the bill of the type of person I'm describing that would be hyped for things like Kingdom Hearts 3, Resident Evil 2, Death Stranding versus, I got the new Xbox so I can play Apex Legends with the boys.
Or
that's the difference.
Or you have to also consider that the casual gamer is not just the type that buys the games because they're like super exciting and everyone's playing them. Also because the vast majority of gamers are actually people who just play like the iterative sports games.
Yeah, and that too. Also, and there
And a lot of people have only FIFA 19.
Yeah, and that's even like lesser than like casual gamers. That's like you're not even a gamer really in that sense.
You're
really,
playing it as a social activity.
It's about as like common as just going to actually play the sport itself or watching the sport. Actually, I would say more so. You that's more jocks. Like you want to be honest, truth. It's more like jocks.
No,
I know there are people
true.
who will play through large titles still. Like one streamer I know, for example. Was playing Apex Legend and Fortnite and one of the popular stuff, but they were also playing through Nier Automata, Resident Evil 2's remake, South Park's Fractured Butthole. So I understand it's possible that games like that will bleed in with someone who still plays a wide variety of games, but it's never that way on the opposite of spectrum where someone who only plays like Apex Legends will never have any interest in Death Stranding or Kingdom Hearts or anything like that. They won't. They're just not the right demographic for that. And I think that's why they don't really have that same type of hype where it's like years and years of build, because their product isn't, honestly speaking, being developed in the sense of this passionate product that this demographic want. These fans, real fans want, basically. Like the people that make the fan art and all that stuff that really want this to happen, this to come out. And they have to give their money because it's not riddled with all of the gambling caveats of DLC, microtransactions, all that stuff.
I'm sorry, let me just...
A lot of mainstream games do.
Caveat? It's caveat.
Caveat, whatever.
I was editing the last podcast, and I wanted to scream at you for that.
Why? Because I simply mispronounced one word
Yes!
even though I have a more extensive vocabulary than you. Sometimes I only read things and don't have an opportunity to have someone say it out loud. So... Anyway, I think that hype. I think that hype is warranted. I generally do.
But what about
generally do?
What about instances for games that don't necessarily have that sort of, if it makes it, it'd be a great accomplishment sort of deal, versus games that have their hype cycles last for years and years and years with multiple delays and changes in direction?
I think that's just making the game hold on by a thread. The game's literally a zombie at that point.
I mean,
just let it die.
Remember the classic example of this, The Last Guardian?
Oh god, yeah.
I mean, it did come out.
It came out, but it was very clearly a PS3 game.
Yes.
And that just sort of, no one talks about it anymore.
Kingdom Hearts 3 was supposed to be a PS3 game as well.
Yeah, it was. In fact, actually, we saw like the Birth by Sleep trailer after you did everything in Kingdom Hearts 2. We all thought that it was 3 at first, wasn't it?
I remember Birth by Sleep was supposed to be on the PS2, and then they moved it over to the PSP.
Birth by Sleep should have never been a handheld game. It plays so much better on the console.
That's not the point, though. The point is that trailer itself. Is the unlockable if you do everything.
It was never supposed to be Kingdom Hearts 3.
But that's what everyone thought it was. Especially because of the pre-rendered cutscenes.
Oh, that's like a theme now in Kingdom Hearts 3.
Well, I know.
By the time of Kingdom Hearts 3.
Well, 3... Actually, isn't 3's cutscenes all in engine now?
Yeah.
Well, it was pre-rendered on the PS2 and stuff.
No.
Yes.
The special cutscenes at the beginning and the end are, and the secret movies were, but everything else was in engine. You're thinking of, like, the DS games, which had the PS2 engine for the cutscenes.
No. I mean Kingdom Hearts 3 itself is all in engine.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't think anything is pre-rendered. It doesn't need to be.
No, it doesn't.
Which is why it flows at 60 frames per second, because the pre-rendered cutscenes themselves would be 30.
The transitions from, like, fight cutscene to fight is like flawless.
Because it's still an engine. Whereas, that would be like the thing like Final Fantasy X too, with like Square Enix, where they like did like the really pre-rendered cutscenes, especially the beginning of it, and some of the other stuff that happens with Titus and Yuna and everything. Where you could just tell like the artist is even totally different than the actual like character model artist. When you get back, the actual game was totally different.
From what I remember, Square had a big CG render file out in Hawaii that also made Spirits Within.
Yeah, I think they used the same technology. The problem with Spirits Within was just a bad movie.
Well, my point is that because Final Fantasy X was also inspired by Polynesian culture, they happened to have a Hawaiian studio that handled the CGs for 10.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
There's even a funny story, like they were working on 10 and the movie and stuff, and then the producers would get mad at the animators because, like, you've been surfing all day. We can tell by your tans. Get back to work.
That's kind of funny. So that's like something you have to watch out for if you're ever employed in Hawaii. It's like, I'm gonna sneak out surf. It's like, put some sunscreen on, man!
I don't think I could ever surf, really. I'm too afraid of the ocean. I'm a slime! What do you think? Salt is very harmful.
You're just
take over the body of a human.
No,
Remember the game we played, Mission of the Slimes?
That game was terrible, okay?
That's a good game.
It was.
It was a bad depiction of us slimes.
I think we need to play more of it to get an honest
It
opinion.
was more accurate. Oh, God.
We only played the first couple tutorial missions. I think there's more to that game.
Buddy,
very dry.
Look at this face. Does this look like someone who wants to play that?
Look at that face. Says me to you who can see it, and the podcaster you can't. Podcast listener.
We'll have video eventually.
We'll zoom
Not
in.
of my face.
Okay.
Maybe my...
We'll. You might get more comfortable by then. You never know.
So,
give yourself some credit.
Therefore, what do publishers do to elongate the hype cycle for those games that seem like they'll never come out?
Honestly speaking, they kind of drizzle content as much as they possibly can to people, I think, without totally revealing everything. The Final Fantasy VII Remake was not even supposed to be a thing. It was just an in-engine demo for the PS3, and then everyone was like, yeah, Final Fantasy VII
Literally
Remake!
fueled by hype.
Yeah.
Literally fueled by hype.
That game actually only exists... the remake only exists because of the hype, and Square just eventually went, you know what?
This is what people want, so we'll give it to you.
Yeah, fine.
I have a feeling if it really is good, then will allow Square to make actual games again.
I hope it has them. Yeah, I see its battle system.
It looks
I like
good.
it. Yeah,
I
don't
like
like
the
15's.
action
I don't
in
like 15's battle system.
No,
15 is just like very simple.
15 was very hybrid and very easy, but also very, very long and hard to sit through.
7 Remake's battle system looks very Crisis Core, and I'm good with that.
I think it's going to be more action RPG based.
Yeah, but you can still see the menu.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's and even too, the menus are cleaned up and they're like newer and everything, but they kind of have like that same like feel of like the blue menus from the traditional games.
Square Enix, bring back Crisis Core. Shut up.
They can remake Crisis Core later. Let's finish this.
Yeah, they're gonna have to cut Gak out of the game though. Hey, we know you love Gak, Square Enix, but he's all over Final Fantasy VII now.
Yeah, I don't.
This is the genesis.
I feel like they can make it work, but they're gonna have to change his name.
Who's your favorite member of Soldier and your favorite game console? Genesis.
Avalanche time!
Genesis does what Shinra don't.
You mean he drops an entire sector onto another sector?
Basically. Well, that's what Shinra wanted to do.
So
That's what they did do.
Yeah.
As we're getting hyped for these games year after year, conference after conference, what we often get are not only are people standing up on the stage, here's the trailer, guys, but we also get things in between, especially before E3, like the leaks that happen. Sometimes you can tell which ones are planned and which ones are not.
Yeah. I can tell you the ones that aren't planned are the ones that are getting death threats from Nintendo.
Yeah. For the uninitiated, the guy who leaked the Banjo being in Smash they're getting lots of calls from Nintendo's lawyers.
Oh yeah, they're screwed.
Yeah.
Their life's over.
They're not screwed. Nintendo literally is making up laws half the time.
Nintendo's always been like that.
Yeah, they can't do anything without legit proof of them either hacking into a database or being an employee that's leaking information. They cannot just persecute. They can't. They have to actually have evidence. The only reason why Nintendo wins, or like the case of like the emulation and the ROMs in that one Arizona case, is because those people were literally selling actual ROMs on their website.
Another big factor into the hype culture is pre-order culture. That has gotten really bad nowadays.
It was already bad in the past. I think in the...
What was the first game you pre-ordered by yourself?
By myself, probably. Are you talking myself as in I did it myself, my own money, or I actually just drove there myself as an adult with a car?
Your own money.
My own money? I have to really think about that, actually.
Mine was actually Pokemon X.
In terms of pre-ordering, yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's why. No, this is hard.
I remember one of the first games I specifically asked to get pre-ordered was WarioWare Twisted. I really wanted to play WarioWare Twisted. It was the only one I pre-ordered at the GameStop.
I mean, now that game's actually worth quite a bit.
Yeah, I forget what my copy is.
It's like $50 loose.
And I don't know, do people emulate that game?
You can. It's like not good, but you can.
Like using like a gyroscope?
Yeah, you're best off just getting an EverDrive.
How does that work?
Well, the gyroscope's built into the EverDrive. You just load it wrong.
Oh.
Okay. Trying to do it on a computer is not happening. They could simulate with a mouse, but that's like,
Yeah, not as good.
Or like, I know that the WarioWare 3DS one uses like the built-in like actual accelerometer.
Well, yeah. The whole reason why that game is so expensive is because of the fact of you could never like bootleg it because it has special hardware inside.
Speaking of games just like that, Boktai, The Sun Is in Your Hands.
Yeah, the solar sensor.
Came with the solar sensor. You could only play it in the sun.
That, or you could just, you
There's
you can hack the code.
You can hold it under a lamp too.
Yeah, there's patches now though that
you just press a button.
Yeah, to the realms it just increases the sunlight.
Admittedly, that was a really weird concept.
It was.
The
games were good though. I enjoyed them.
There were we only ever got the first one, right?
No, the second one in the series. We only got number 2 in the series.
Oh great, the Earthbound story.
Yep, pretty much.
Well, we got Lunar Nights also.
I loved Lunar Nights, even though the reviews were absolutely terrible for it.
I thought it was fun, but it was awkward that the story didn't make any sense because they had to like basically make up their own crap that wasn't related to Boktai.
What was Lunar Nights again?
Lunar Nights was a DS action RPG.
It was like 100 years after Boktai.
Yeah, I guess Revolution came from.
No one's gonna get that joke. So
that's just for you.
I'd argue that the height of the toxicity of the pre-order culture was back when Deus Ex Human Revolution was being previewed. Well, what happened is they had a thing called Augment Your Pre-Order, in which the pre-order numbers had to reach certain milestones in order for certain things to be given to the people who would pre-order. Like Kickstarter, the Kickstarter, like, when you would get up to a certain number in your Kickstarter
goals.
The goals. But for a major publisher like Square Enix.
That's dumb.
Believe it or not, now I think about it, I think the first game I pre-ordered myself was Gears of War 2.
Was it worth it?
Oh yeah, the game's great. The multiplayer was kind of botched, but the single player was great.
Yeah.
They fixed it in 3.
I'm not big on, like, shooters, so I can't really speak.
I'm not either, but Gears just, I already went into this before, is just totally different than other shooters.
But we've gotten to such a point where, do game stores ever run out of copies anymore?
No.
Then what's the point of a pre-order?
I mean, they will run out of some, so I can give you some examples. Generally speaking, what they will run out of is low-print titles, generally speaking, Japanese RPGs.
GameStop is pretty notorious for that.
I still can't even find them. Like, I go to GameStop hoping I'll find some, like, PlayStation 3 JRPGs that, like, nobody played so I can build up my collection. It's like, nope, just a bunch of shovelware and a bunch of massively overprinted Western AAA releases that are worth $1.
No Ni no Kuni anywhere.
Actually, I found that at Goodwill for $7.
You should have picked it up.
And it's getting a remaster.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's in there.
Oh! It's getting a remaster!
Yeah.
Yeah, the first one.
Italy. I think will include this. I'll probably include this second.
No.
No, it's not
I
going to
didn't like 2 as much.
2 is an action role-playing game.
That's not the same thing.
It wasn't just Pokemon.
No, it wasn't at all. Like, it was just the characters
Here
themselves.
goes.
Oof, that's kind of a drastic change.
It was. Although it did kind of fit, like, it was 1,000 years later.
That's a big deal, though, because Gears 2, at that point, I was 18. That was my first year of college. So, yeah, I actually had a job. I don't think I ever pre-ordered games before I had a job, really. I always got them for Christmas or my birthday, or I just kind of saved up the money I made doing chores for the month and then went out and bought Mario Kart.
That's kind of what I did.
I didn't pre-order anything until I actually started, driving. Because what was really the point in pre-ordering anything, though, when I was just getting everything basically kind of in an all-in-one go for, like, Christmas and stuff, for my birthday.
Plus, a lot of the times they do big discounts around Black Friday. And I guess that's when the games are already out.
That's how my brother got his Switch.
Yeah. Okay, so Black Friday is more or less not for pre-orders, but for, like, games that are released near the holidays that need to make a certain number of copies during that day in order for retailers to get out of the red.
Yeah, well, that's what Black Friday is in general. It's full-on liquidation that's disguised as deals. Which, don't get me wrong, it's still in our consumer society. You can still take advantage of them, but just be aware that whatever you're paying for it, this store paid a hell of a lot.
But at least you're getting a physical thing on the spot. With pre-order culture now, a lot of physical game stores are pushing pre-orders for games that don't even have a release date sometimes.
Yeah, also, content for pre-ordering wasn't really ever much of a thing originally, but...
Now it's like exclusive character when you pre-order.
Yeah.
Oh my god, don't get me started on fighters again, please.
We're not.
We
But
talked
still,
about that last time.
generally speaking, yeah, it's still in there. But generally speaking, pre-orders... Limited editions, even more so, used to come with like lots of really cool swag. It didn't have to be always the greatest stuff. Some of like figures, posters, stickers, even pins, flash drive. There's a bunch of stuff, but I think over the years it keeps getting more and more watered down
Fallout
to just
76.
Or you still get some physical, but it's worthless and shaped like a nylon bag.
It was literally watered out.
That's another good topic.
I would still take the nylon bag over DLC, though.
The growth
I can at least sell it to somebody.
The growth of the limited edition is another thing that ties with the hype and pre-order culture.
Yeah, because limited editions were very rare at first, and they did build hype, but they weren't like pushed.
They were more for Japanese games at first, right?
We had them, but they were not common.
They were collector's editions. I remember PS1 having the special black and white things for collectors.
Yes.
But then Western pre-order, like, limited editions were a lot more common in, like, the mid-2000s.
I think the West had more, like, limited edition, like, consoles
Well,
than we did actual limited edition games.
Yes, like different colors, different designs.
Brands, Dreamcast did this.
The sports
and stuff
ones.
Like that. Yeah, the Hello Kitty one's, like, super rare. Stuff like that. But we didn't have a lot of limited editions. I don't think up until like the PS2, GameCube, Xbox era. I mean, how many limited editions exist in the West for the Nintendo 64?
Like 7, maybe?
Really?
Well, there's
the number was 0.
There's Pikachu. There's the Donkey Kong one.
No, not the consoles games. Like with like extra swag and everything, or a nice steel case.
I don't think that ever happened in the
No.
It didn't. That was my point.
Because N64 games in particular were like $80.
Yeah, they were already expensive.
Because thanks cartridges, you were arguing earlier the cartridges were better.
They're superior in certain aspects in terms of format, not in terms of production costs.
Yeah.
Pros and cons, bud.
Yes. So, what you end up getting to keep the hype machine going, and you're waiting for this game year after year after year, these publishers end up doing stuff like celebrity endorsements.
Yeah, that's starting to become a thing.
Legends.
Yeah, that's...
Well,
that
in that
sounds
case,
nice.
Brutal Legend?
Yeah, Jack Black.
Well, he played the main character, arguably.
He did. I mean, it was his
And then
game.
you have Ozzy Osbourne.
It wasn't his game.
It was practically his game.
It was a game written around him, in a lot of ways. But
So it was his game.
Tim
then you
Schafer
have-
came up with the idea, and, he made friends with Jack Black, and then, he agreed to play the character.
I guess he agreed to play the character, but that game, you really never are doing anything that doesn't involve Jack Black's character. Ever.
Because he's the main character!
You can make a game and not have to have every single scene show the main character.
Like Final Fantasy XII.
Yeah.
In which Vaughn had nothing to do with any of the actually important stuff.
Well, that main character just kind of didn't
Although I
have
love
a
the
point.
I love
But you could take Final Fantasy X and remove Titus from the screen for a while, and the game would still flow fine. You could do this. You could do
In
this
fact, they
with
did it with 10
most
too.
Final Fantasies, really, just not 12.
Yeah. Yeah, arguably.
And then you have stuff like Ozzy Osbourne and what is it? What's the word? Endorsing WoW.
That was...
Oh,
you mean...
yeah, I
oh,
remember
yes!
that.
The World of Warcraft.
Those ads...
What's your game?
Also, I mean, I can buy, like, the Star Trek guy playing WoW. That's totally, like, something he would do.
Vic.
Ozzy Osbourne actually did play WoW.
Vic Mignogna.
Oh God, no, please.
Yeah, he did a World of Warcraft commercial. I'm Vic Mignogna, and I'm a warlock. It's real.
Oh God, I remember that.
That happened. That's right, I can even do alchemy. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
No!
I kind of like the... I did kind of like... Yeah, and Shatner, like... I kind of like that, though, because... Yeah, it is kind of shameless at the same time. It was fun, at least. Also, they weren't in the games directly. Aside from they made a model for them. But yeah.
They actually did play the games, though. Like, at least Ozzy Osbourne did. He was a diehard WoW player.
That doesn't surprise me, considering he's like one of the original.
No, Sharon actually did an interview about Ozzy Osbourne's WoW.
I'm not as like.
I mean,
I'm not
celebrities are people
surprised.
too, so to have a celebrity play a game, be good at it, that's normal. Like Jack Black actually beat one of the toughest courses in the second.
But we're not talking about being good at it. We're talking about using their personality and their likeness to sell the product.
Like Beatles Rock Band, remember that?
Yeah.
Oh, God,
they had the two remaining Beatles show up to promote Beatles Rock Band at one of the Xbox conferences, and then like Paul McCartney made a joke about how stupid his model looked.
I guarantee they never played this game. Ever. Especially because, truthfully speaking, a lot of musicians really hate like Rock Band and stuff.
Oh, Elton John went off on that shit.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm not surprised. I don't think there's any harm in it, but I get where they're coming from. Although
it's
it
a
does,
generational thing.
It
does.
does.
There are a lot of kids who got into rock music because of Rock Band.
It sounds like old man yells at cloud. If you want the truth, and I do think they kind of should just get over it.
There
let
were
people
some celebrities who are really cool with games. Like Robin Williams actually played games.
Oh yeah,
his daughter is Zelda.
Let me just give a
named after actual Zelda.
Yeah, I know. Let me give a little tidbit. Robert Williams.
Oh, I know what you're gonna say.
Was supposed to play Professor Oak.
Yep.
He was Nintendo's first, last, and only choice to play Professor Oak.
So what you're saying?
Nintendo must have loved Good Will Hunting.
So what you're saying is, based on that information, Nintendo is not going to have Professor Oak in a live-action movie until their clone of Robin Williams is ready to be used.
Yep.
Okay, I can't wait. If you're Disney, why not Robin Williams?
Zelda is actually voice acting in a Legend of Zelda game.
That's cool. I mean, she might as well. Why not? But the point is, though, I think it can be done in a way that is still tasteful and fun with it. But we do have to admit, though, it does kind of get grating, especially when it's... In one hand, you have a person that is already an actor, or in some shape or form that's letting themselves are a character. I mean, Ozzy isn't really an actor, but he's definitely a character. He's a character.
He's a guy.
No, he is a character. Oh, he really is. No, I mean, just in terms of his personality, he's a character.
He said it himself, even.
Yeah, he has.
And all celebrities play a character, to a degree.
On the other hand, in terms of influencers, you have, like, streamers and YouTubers, and I don't even mean the kind that either are doing the reviews or creating scripted content. I mean the ones wearing a headset and screaming at a mic and somehow got 10 million views.
That's how Amnesia took off. That's how Amnesia got a lot of people to buy it.
Amnesia, the horror game, to the end of the show.
Yes.
I was going to say, what? Okay, now I'm
It's a horror game.
I'm thinking of the old PC game. I'm like, what?
Hell, Undertale blew up because Jacksepticeye played it.
Yeah, but I thought Undertale was already just...
Oh, it was good. It was a hidden gem.
Undertale had a lot of factors as to why it got popular. It was created by the guy who originally made the music for Homestuck, one of the composers for Homestuck. He wasn't the only person.
Right.
And, he had the blessing of Andrew Hussey. So he already had a fan base. And he had a Kickstarter for it. So there was already some knowledge of the game out there.
Yeah, the Kickstarter was successful too. So
It was like immediately successful.
I don't really think Markiplier. It's a spike. It's not the initial hype.
No,
I'm not talking about
Markiplier
that.
is the reason why FNAF got so big.
yes.
Yes, it is. But you know what though?
He
That's
voiced
a
Mike,
coincidence.
the character, in the musical.
But that's a coincidence.
It was.
That is something that just happens based on probability. Companies at E3 though, or any other big presentation, bringing on streamers, even just showing their likeness is not.
Let me just at the recent E3 they had celebrity streamers show up to play the new Rainbow Six.
That's
Not just that, they had T-Pain show up and lead a team of streamers.
And Lil Yachty, too.
Yes, and Little Yachty.
This is where it comes to a point where it's not like charming anymore, even if it is blatant, like shameless product pushing. It's just straight up, in my honest opinion at least, vile.
Well, it depends on, like, the degree to... I mean, in that case, it was the Twitch one. So Twitch thrives off of live gameplay and esports, so it's at least appropriate in that instance.
It is, but the thing is, though, it's just... It's becoming less about the game.
Well, it's about the...
And more about the people playing it.
Well, it's about the
circle of life.
It's about the scene around the game, and you imagining yourself in that person's place, playing it with your friends. It's what they're trying to sell to you.
Yeah, and
why do you
that's
think
the
Overwatch
problem.
League is so popular?
I know, but that's my problem with a lot of these. A lot of these hypes are built around games that
don't deserve it.
Not even just that. That's more subjective, but this isn't subjective. Games that are designed to be more enjoyable, or practically only enjoyable, or recommended to be experienced only with other people.
I feel like that's also kind of how Dead by Daylight is.
It is. 100%.
So
it's good, but you can only play it with other people.
They're selling you on the experience.
Well, it's not even physically possible, but if you're also just playing with like randos online, it's
you can only really play a game like that with your friends.
They're trying to sell you an experience.
Unless you just want to be a griefer and just tell people they're bad, or try to work together with people who don't have mics, which, you know, is super fun.
Playing as the killer when people do that is absolutely horrible.
See, this is why I feel like Microsoft at least did it right with the Xbox 360, when it's like, yeah, buy the console, comes with a headset. You have no excuse not to have one. That was such a good idea back when online gaming was still kind of a niche thing on consoles.
And then the first run of the Xbox One, the controller didn't have a headphone port.
Uh-huh.
I had a little, like the funky little adapter they made up.
Yeah, it sucked. I mean, you can still use it. It still came with a headset.
You have a Bluetooth
but you couldn't
headset
use
from
your
Turtle Beach, our sponsor.
Yeah, that too. Sponsors and hype especially. That was not a thing. Video games had absolutely no sponsors in the 90s, period. That I can...
Well, actually, remember Jet Moto 2?
Okay.
Jet Moto 2 had the Mountain Dew character.
Except for junk food. I should mention that. But that's not really hype. The game was already out.
Or like that, there was some Jellico arcade game that like had Coca-Cola sponsorship. Like the announcer would say, now for Top Skater, presented by Coca-Cola.
Okay. Thank you, Coca-Cola, for giving us this moment. Let us all pray.
Every kiss begins with Coke.
I don't know what kind of kisses you're getting.
I was gonna say... Can my Cokes...
You know what I mean?
Can my kisses begin with Pepsi?
Also, what happens is they take a more successful game and they try to use that to shore up another game. Remember all the Overwatch crossovers into Heroes of the Storm?
Yeah, they didn't do well.
Like half the cast in Overwatch was playable in Heroes of the Storm before Heroes of the Storm stopped getting maintained.
Nobody was playing Heroes of the Storm. Well, Blizzard likes to cross over their stuff.
It's the MOBA starring Blizzard stuff.
Oh.
It was their attempt at League. It didn't work.
Of course it didn't.
Well, MOBAs can work besides League. They'll never surpass League for the most part. Well, except maybe Dota 2.
Yeah.
Well, no, Dota 2, I mean, here, okay, the West League, Europe, Dota. Like, you're in Europe, Dota. You do not talk about League. It's basically...
And then you go past Korea.
No, Europe, that's Asia. Especially like Russia. Wow. Dota 2 is a whole bunch of Russians.
What about Heroes of New Earth?
I don't even know what that is.
Don't worry about it.
Good.
And one thing we forgot to mention earlier is arguably the most egregious part of pre-order culture is when they offer a super duper edition that has a play the game a few days early.
When did that stuff start?
The biggest publishers started doing that.
Yeah.
But play the game a day early, and if you pay an extra $20.
That's disgusting.
But they got away with it.
Of course they did. Is that also like limited editions that come with anything, or are they like digital limited editions that just come with a bunch of DLC that was already in the game?
Like when I pre-ordered Final Fantasy 15, it gave me a bunch of weapons that were really good in the early game.
Yeah,
that happens a lot, actually. Like a lot of the pre-order weapons are really make the game a lot easier.
Yeah, Resident Evil 2 even did that, which kind of bothers me.
I don't want that. I don't want you to make my game easier if I'm playing on hard mode.
Well, here's the thing. Think of the most basic casual consumer, and they buy a game that's super hype, and then they might not like it, but these super duper items that you get make the game super easy and fun for the 2 hours they'll likely play it before trading it in.
Yeah, and because they're making great judged financial decisions, and later on they'll try to sell their PlayStation 4 and all their copies of Madden, NBA 2K, Assassin's Creed, and Call of Duty. Be like, $500, please.
$1. You get $1. You get $2.
All those games are worth like $10, and the system's worth like maybe $100.
Well, the games they drop. The reason why, by the way, a lot of these yearly sports games are including progression systems like the VC system in the NBA games, which are invisible, pointless progression systems designed to help people get into Skinner box mode.
What is that?
You ever heard of Ultimate Team?
No.
Ultimate Team is a system included in a lot of EA games, especially the sports games, in which you make like a fantasy league team, and then you go and have that team face off against other teams, and you build up ultimate team points. And there's leaderboards and stuff like that.
And it's all absolutely worthless when the next one comes out a year later, right?
And there's boost events and like special stuff that you can do, and little quizzes that you can get for bonus VC. And then they do stuff like, oh, you want a slightly different color jersey? Okay, loot box time.
Is there a correlation to how hyped something is and its price trajectory in terms of how long it's like in the market and where its price is going?
Yes.
So I think that the more hyped something is, like even if it does well, so much of it is made that the price for the actual initial game itself just drops. If it's like
that happened to Spider-Man.
Yeah,
Spider-Man on the PS4 is $20 now.
And
really?
So is God of War,
yes.
Isn't it?
Oh my god, I gotta get it now.
So is God of War, I think.
Those games, when did Spider-Man PS4 come out? Last year?
It came out like a year ago.
So did God of War.
Now it's $20. They're both on PlayStation hits.
I'm not going to say that. No, I mean, you can actually just buy even the in-store copy still. It doesn't even have the best of thing on it. It's the original copy still is marked down at $20 at Best Buy.
It's a good game from what I've seen.
No, I'm not talking about how good the game is.
know.
I'm talking about the levels of hype.
You know what's also on PlayStation hits now? Persona 5.
Huh. You know what I think?
That's
I think
also
hype also
$20.
contributes to the amount of copies a game is printed.
Yes.
So if a game is really overly hyped, it's going to be worth less later on.
Yes.
I know for a fact.
Which is why digital is being pushed so much.
Yeah. But the
digital
thing is,
pre-orders, maybe.
Those prices drop, and then years later will rebound if that disc still works when there's no way to get it anymore.
Or that's what they do. They put only the first, remember the remaster situation?
I don't buy those. I don't like it.
Spyro.
I don't support that practice.
Just the first game. Or
honestly,
remember when Tony Hawk 5 only included the tutorial in the disc?
No, we're just rehashing an old podcast at this point.
We kind of are. We did talk about this already.
But it's just the sort of crap that pre-order culture encourages.
It does. And pre-orders are about hype. That is very true. I mean, it's the very definition of, are you excited to get this? No. So I'm going to pre-order it. So you kind of have to.
We're going to cut this thing out of the game, so you have to go and pay in advance so you can get it later.
I'm excited to get screwed!
You'd be surprised how many people wake up and say that.
What? Oh, another thing is, digital pre-orders often have the thing of preloading associated with it.
Oh, yeah, you can download the game before...
Because games are 50 gigabytes now, so you have to wait like a day for it to download.
It doesn't take a day to download 50 gigs.
Depends on how crappy your internet is.
It would take you probably a while.
No, it takes me maybe an hour at most to download Persona 5.
It's a bit surprising.
Well, I download it and delete it like every few months because I want to play Persona, but I don't want to keep it on my disk.
You mean you don't want to keep it on your drive?
Drive, yes.
And that's the problem with digital games there as well. Well, I have to keep deleting stuff. I have to keep removing storage.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, the online store went away. I'll never get this game back.
That's why you gotta keep it downloaded on your hard drive.
So,
what are you gonna do in the sense of, like, if the service goes offline and you never re-download it? And now it's at the point where Persona 5 is rare.
Well,
it hasn't been out in a while.
Well, then I'm absolutely screwed.
You gotta go buy a $50 used copy off eBay. I'm talking like $20, $40 or something.
time for the remaster.
Oh, God, no. You know, they actually are remastering Persona 1 and 2.
That's good. Don't remaster 3 and 4.
No, please, no. I'd rather not.
Where'd you get the news they're doing 1 and 2?
They did Atlas did a poll saying which games they would want to have remade or brought to the newest systems.
Remaster Jack Brothers for the Virtual Boy.
Oh my God!
Yeah, because all of one person.
That game is
I was
actually
talking
really
to Furry
good.
J about
Is it
that
good?
yesterday.
Yeah?
Good.
Yeah,
Jack Brothers?
yeah.
No, I didn't know it was. I didn't know it was good.
But yeah, they are remastering 1 and 2.
How though? I don't really know how bad I'd want to play that. They're just gonna censor it.
No, I mean, I would be.
So you're gonna fight Hitler?
I want to fight Hitler.
I want to fight Hitler.
You know what
Who doesn't want to fight Hitler?
Well, they already censored him in the remake of 2. They call him Führer. And they put
That
sunglasses on.
Führer.
I mean, that's so
That's not
minimal.
bad.
Wouldn't that be funny
But
to
turning
see
an
like
entire
3D
black-
Hitler in sunglasses?
But then
Okay, I would love this.
That's because they put sunglasses on him in
They
the
did.
US release.
Although that doesn't compare to like the first Persona game where they took one character, his name was Mark. He was black. They turned him white.
That doesn't
in
No,
the
actually,
English
it's the
version.
opposite. It's the opposite.
It's the opposite.
Legit?
Yeah.
And I don't even know why. It makes little sense.
Because they wanted to like make it like it was taking place in an American high school.
It's so
It's
obviously
nice.
Japan.
Look, Phoenix Wright did the same shit.
Did it
Hamburgers.
Really? Oh.
Here's a good way we can conclude.
Dirty rice ball, eat a donut, kick some butt in your robot.
Here's a good way I think we can kind of conclude the present discussion.
Yes, please.
Hyped games that were worth it and hyped games that were not worth it. Each of us go.
Okay. From what generations?
Like
Any.
Alright,
past, whatever.
fine. I'm gonna go with in terms of things I was actually hyped for.
Well, which games were worth it? Which games
Worth
were
it.
not?
Metal Gear Solid 4, Gears of War 2 and 3, Kingdom Hearts 2, Final Fantasy X was pretty hyped too, so Final Fantasy X, Devil May Cry 3, those are some of my biggest favorites of like some of the past stuff. Resident Evil 2 remake was great too. Devil May Cry 5.
To me, KH3, absolutely, definitely worth.
For me, actually, I remember playing the first Oendon game, and then Elite Beat Agents was announced, and I'm like, oh my god, they're making an American version!
Elite Beat Agents was so good.
Elite Beat is good.
Did you
yes.
watch it? Did you know gaming about it?
No.
Yeah, they did a thing where they actually talked to the guy who directed the game and stuff.
Oh my God.
It's pretty good. It's
Cool.
actually pretty factual.
Oh, here. I got a game for not worth the hype. Twilight Princess.
Really?
Yeah.
A lot of people like it, though.
I mean, it's fine, but it's honestly probably still one of the more mediocre Zelda titles. It has the lamest dungeon design.
It also has a really weird structure that's really repetitive. Like they collecting the moon tears and stuff.
Actually, arguably, probably Skyward Sword, now I think about it, because I don't think that was hyped as much is the reason why I don't want to say it. That is the bigger disappointment than Twilight Princess.
Does it use the same engine as Twilight Princess?
Yes, but it's It's
a lot
different. The
more-
graphics are different.
Yeah, the art style is completely different.
It's based on like a painting. I didn't mind the art style. It was more so the fact that Skyward Sword recycled elements way too much. Also, the motion controls were even more gimmicky than Twilight Princess. Wii Motion Plus didn't work that well.
I'm just gonna go current day and say Fallout 76. It did not deserve any of the hype it got.
I don't even think. I'll be honest with you, I don't even think Fallout 4 deserved the hype it got. I literally played to that. I was like, this is just Fallout 3 again. Like, you did nothing different. Nothing new to be added here at all. I couldn't really.
I'm the kind of guy who's only played the original Fallout game. I haven't played any. I have New Vegas, but I've never really been able to get into it.
I just say play 3.
Alright.
Which is kind of funny. I do think actual Elder Scrolls Oblivion and Skyrim will work.
Skyrim 2! I think Skyrim is absolutely overhyped. Especially nowadays with the constant reprints.
I think it was over. I don't think it was overhyped when it came out.
Skyrim
when it
4K.
came out, it was.
Now it is. It's for
it is.
every freaking system.
No, it's on a smartwatch.
What?
No, I'm kidding. It's on Alexa.
Oh, you're gonna scare. What?
Google play Skyrim.
You're scaring me, man.
It's tattooed inside your retina.
Todd Howard T-poses inside my ass.
Todd Howard introduces Elder Scrolls V Skyrim Suppository Edition.
Oh, God, no.
It just hurts.
I'm gonna pee myself.
It's over there. Okay. That was great.
Alright. Let's get to the future and let's breeze past this because I need to go home.
Yeah, one more game that I thought didn't live up to the hype: Final Fantasy 15.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh yeah, why did I say that? Yeah, definitely.
Because I thought you were gonna say it, and I was gonna say it.
I couldn't really think as much stuff from the PS4 era because I didn't play too much of the earlier stuff.
Yeah.
I was too obsessed with Magic.
So, for the future of hype, what do you think is going to happen? Do you think people are just going to keep sucking into it?
That's one way to put it.
Do you think more and more normal people are going to get sucked into the hype and it'll just keep getting worse and companies will be able to do more and more to piss off people like us who complain about everything?
Let's not forget the
Like,
fact, too, the industry is kind of getting bankrupt. Who is crashing?
Who?
The game industry is crashing.
Well, it's a bubble.
It is. AAA is crashing.
Yes.
Indie is doing better than ever.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But AAA is actually going downward, which is where, probably because development cycles and everything, they're trying to maintain the same amount of time to develop games they did 10 to 15 years ago, but spending far more money on it.
Or sometimes the games just get restarted, like with Metroid Prime 4.
That happens too.
Sword and Shield, I think, is the biggest, one of the biggest things that is suffering from this. That they're on a schedule to develop. Nintendo, Game Freak especially, is on a schedule to develop all their future games. They have the next 5 games planned out on a timeline. If they don't meet that, then they have to make cuts. And that's why 80% of the national dex is gone in Sword and Shield.
Yeah, that's, that one's, that's a whole topic in itself, really. I'm talking also just in terms of, Activision, EA, Blizzard's home Activision now. I hate saying that. Basically are getting ousted for what is essentially slave labor. Unfair conditions, harassment, no overtime pay, expect to work 70 to 80 hours a week for a salary. It's with no extra bonus or anything. And that's not really feasible for a lot of people, especially because these games themselves are getting so expensive, yet they're trying to push them out at the same rate something that was developed by 20 people 20 years ago and make the same amount of money, because even though the games themselves cost more to make now, they still sell for around the same price.
Yeah.
They've been $60 for quite a while in the US anyway. Most new games have been $59.99 for the past over 10 years. I think since this was pretty much set in stone since PS3 or 360 Wii era. The Wii was always like 50.
I think what we're going to see more often is, for all that Final Fantasy 15 didn't live up to, at least they started doing Square Enix changed presidents during the development of Final Fantasy 15, and that president was like, okay, 15 is kind of a mess, but people are awaiting it, so we're going to do these regular, like, update people on our progress on the game, show people new stuff. When the Steam Edition was coming out, they were showing off all the mod features. They were being very transparent about it, which for all that 15 didn't do great with, I think that was still really, like, humble of them to do. And they're showing more and more of 7, too. Like, 7 Remake, we didn't see any of that for 2 years, now we're seeing that game pretty regularly, actually, every couple months.
Yeah, because they're getting... Well, we have a release date.
The same thing happened with KH3.
Kingdom Hearts 3, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that's true. When KH3 finally got... Well, actually, I disagree with that, because Kingdom Hearts 3, they kept teasing a release date with that and moving it back. We have not had a release date for FF7 Remake until now. Kingdom Hearts 3 had, what? 7 different release dates?
It was a mess. It was absolutely a mess.
Well, move between engines, too.
Yeah, that's true.
For 7 Remake, I don't think actually
they had to remake
started on the PS3. That's just where the hype was. It started on the PS4 when Square decided, okay, we're going to actually do this. So they have more wiggle room with that.
And then, we didn't mention this directly, but I think Kickstarter culture has died down a lot.
Yeah, well, that's because a lot of people getting burned, false promises, scams, people not being able to deliver on their stretch goals.
Very select Kickstarter games actually lived up to the hype.
Yeah, and a lot of them still took somebody that was already an industry vet or something, or had like a lot of experience.
I think there's a difference between a game that's from a niche genre that has certain expectations and then they deliver upon that in a realistic way versus Shenmue 3.
Yeah, Shenmue 3 is just an unfortunate mess.
I think what's going to happen when that game comes out is people are going to jump into 3 without playing 1 or 2, and they're not going to know what's going on, and the game will tank.
I think the game's already destined to tank anyway, as it was a really niche title to begin with.
Shenmue was like the Yakuza before Yakuza.
Yes, and it was also the Dreamcast US swan song, basically.
Yes, and then obviously the Xbox thing too.
Yeah, ironically enough,
Shenmue was good. It just like appealed to only certain people.
Yeah, it did. But that, not only just that, though, too, I think in terms of hype, we're talking about in the future where now companies are trying to embrace streaming as the only way of delivering games to you. They say it's as an option, but we know what they're doing.
Imagine a game that's announced, and then they can click on a button and start playing it immediately.
Yeah, basically.
That's what's going to happen at next Google event. When Stadia is actually out, they're going to start pulling that.
They are.
I already don't like it.
I don't either. I don't like the publishers having absolute control over the product. That's why I'm already very iffy on digital. Like, as I say before, digital. This is on sale for $5. Okay, sure. Brand new AAA game, $60 digital. It's going to be $20 in a year in the store. Not happening. I'll just go buy the game if I want that bad right now.
Yeah, we want a GameStop to die, huh?
I don't really want GameStop to die. I want them to just stop having terrible business practices and selling me pop figures and actually carry games.
I'm not excited for Gears Pop, huh?
Actually, I kind of am.
Do you want to die? That's my response to that.
So, things could get better, things could get worse. Hopefully it's for the better. Hopefully these solutions will cause people to invent new ways of getting people excited for games in healthy ways, and not ways that cause them to go and get unrealistic expectations.
Hype can definitely help a game.
Oh,
but it can also absolutely damage it with the expectations that the players force on the game.
Sorry, go ahead.
I think that's a lot of the damage that happened with... I know Kingdom Hearts 3 was a good game. It was. But a lot of people expected it to be more than it really was. And they were burnt by their own expectations that way. It's the same thing with, most of the games that have come out nowadays. Final Fantasy 15. Let's see, what else is there? What was it? Oh yeah, Sekiro.
Yeah.
Sekiro is supposed to be like the new Neo.
Yeah.
And it really was, and it was absolutely unfair, brutal hard. You couldn't progress through a certain area without, like...
But you know what? That doesn't make the game bad.
No,
if that's what they wanted, that's what they wanted. That's what the developer wanted.
Yeah, no.
It's not taking advantage of anybody. That's just the way it was.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that hype in these cases can help, but it can also hurt a game, because they expect some gamers expect something of a game when they're through their hype.
Well, imagine like if you were hyped for the next Dark Souls and it was like as easy as Yoshi's,
Well, no, I would absolutely hate that.
Yeah, that'd be terrible. It would make no sense. So, I mean, I would say basically hype should be based around what people still, I guess, expect. Maybe not like just total expectations, just bored out of their mind, like, oh yeah, it's the same thing again, which some people do just keep buying. Again, some people I think that honestly don't fit in the demographic of who will listen to this podcast anyway.
Yeah.
But more so, here's probably a good example, probably the best example of hype being used in the worst way possible. Since it did just happen, we're not going to do one on directly on E3 2019. I'll also touch on it. Bethesda's entire 2019 E3 conference, for the most part.
Yep.
Except Doom Eternal, that looks awesome. Basically, things that haven't come out yet, that we know nothing about, has a paid audience cheering for it like it's the coming of Christ, basically. Just yet mobile games, yet a Battle Royale mode added to Fallout 76, which, by the way, the reason why you can tell that this is genuinely insincere hype that is staged is if you watch these events and you watch the live comments on YouTube or Twitch, those are the real audience reacting, how they really feel. I understand that, usually the complainers are the loudest and everything, but you also see people freak out and get super hype and happy when Banjo was revealed for Smash Ultimate. So no, they're the real deal. Most of them are giant real people, and Bethesda was acting like pretty much everything they made was gold, or if they did screw up, it's like, but you guys still love us, right?
You'll still buy it.
Yeah, like so full of themselves, and then building up this false hype of all their Elder Scrolls knockoffs, which is a Hearthstone knockoff, a poor mobile game that nobody was excited for, or they announced in the fact of how many downloads it has and everything. Okay, but they don't actually talk about anybody's experiences with it. And they also, for some reason, want to show how great it is to work at Bethesda, which...
Why?
Well, they showed the streamers for people who played Elder Scrolls Online.
They did show that, but also, I get Elder Scrolls Online has its audience.
Also,
who watching this cared about the mobile games? Who watching this?
Investors.
Yeah.
Also, consider the fact that downloads is an easy metric for investors to understand versus purchases.
But you know what, though? This is not only just insulting to consumers, it's also insulting to investors. Because they're blatantly building up fake hype by lying about people being excited about their IP.
Mm-hmm.
Which is honestly astounding. I don't think that's been done very often. Now we're lying to our consumers. We're lying to our investors.
It's been done.
Not often.
Just look at Metal Gear Survive.
Did investors seriously think that game was going to do well?
I don't know. I do know that they tried to hype it up so much. They
hyped it?
They did. They tried to get it so much hype.
I didn't even see Konami really mention it much.
And they pretty much the entire thing with Survive was just meant to be advertised fuck you to Kojima.
That makes the game that people did enjoy was
it was the Koji Pro team, just without Kojima.
Yeah.
No, it was the team for 5, but it was without him.
Yeah, working on something they probably hated too. Especially because it was mostly just asset flips from 5.
No, they use the same assets.
That's it.
The actual same assets. The same maps.
Well, it's still an asset flip. Asset flip just means taking the same asset from something and just using it again.
Then yes.
Not as bad as an asset flip from the Unity store, but still pretty bad.
The entire thing was just
reuse.
The
entire game was just Metal Gear 5's Afghan, part of its Afghan map, and just a fogged out area.
That's really lazy. And this was $60, right?
$30. It was a half price game.
Oh, it was
but
actually.
They made you buy save slots to even play the game.
Well, extra save slots for extra characters.
Yeah, and they had an entire online mode that they very much
That's going to be
wanted
audio now.
Oh. Oh, 1 second.
We're wrapping up anyway, so.
We are.
They had an entire online mode, too, that they wanted to make, like, the next Metal Gear MMO.
Alright, let's just do our concluding thoughts on hype then, basically. Jay, you start.
Do you believe in hype, or are you disillusioned by hype?
I feel like it can definitely help some games, and a lot of games do need it. Like these indie games.
Yes.
More people should be hyped for indie games!
I think people are,
Yeah, I was hyped for Bloodstain, and kind of am, because it's going to not arrive for 2 more days.
For example, the people who made Stardew Valley are making a game about a witch school.
I know! I actually want to see that!
Like
that's so good!
That's a case of someone was excited for something because something was good. Now they're making something that's a novel concept, and why not get excited?
It's pretty much Stardew Harry Potter.
For me, it's like an extension of whether the hype is legitimate, like you're really excited for something because you know it's probably going to be good because of the pedigree behind it and the ideas behind it, or if it's artificial in the case of a lot of these AAA games and these conferences.
Like you're excited about it because you have to be.
I think for me, hype is mostly just something to be concerned about. More so with the AAA industry, because usually independent games already had a passionate niche following that was already built around it to begin with, and we're already going to be excited for it. Like, if you're the type of person like Civilization, don't worry, you're going to have like all the Civilization indies are going to come out, and you're going to probably enjoy them in some shape or form. But where hype can actually be used as a weapon, I think has to more when real money is involved. And I think if the hype is genuine for something that people truly celebrate and enjoy, and comes naturally in the case of something like Death Stranding, that's good. If it's hype that's generated to make you think people are excited for something, almost like something the music industry does is purposely push top music to the top in fake top lists so people will just listen to it anyway.
Well, to be honest, how BMI and other record labels like that work is they have contracts with the top 40 stations saying you have to play this song for a certain amount of time in order to go and get our money.
That's how I feel about this disingenuous AAA hype machine, basically, is certain games, like, they already paid for the reviews at IGN and GameSpot, too. Like, so that,
I feel like
that's all part of it, too. Or they'll advertise it like crazy in banner ads on websites.
I remember PC Gamer used to have a thing, they got whistleblown on this, in which you could buy their Best of E3 award for a couple $100.
Wow.
Okay, that's weird.
I remember reading about this. Like, they got an email, like, some developer got an email saying, oh, hey, you want our advertising, where you can buy this whole badge you can put in the corner of your site or whatever.
Like, you mean you actually buy the graphic?
No, the right to use that sort of graphic, saying, oh, we got the Best of E3 award.
That's disgusting. I don't even have words for that. But basically, yes. So the point is, genuine, passionate hype is good and could probably keep a product going pretty far along, well to the point where it would have died.
Like WoW, I'd say.
Yes.
Well, I was in kind of a lull right now. They're trying to push it a little bit.
They're pushing like the classic thing.
It'll still come back.
But disingenuous hype that's used to build fake excitement, I can't approve it, and I think it's just going to get worse with things like Stadia, in a sense, if you're going to start streaming trailers and then spout random numbers that don't really mean anything.
Yes. So, I think that concludes our discussion on the hype machine.
Yep, hype's
Get
over.
hyped for the next episode, everyone.
Maybe one day there'll be one person that's just like, yeah, can't wait!
That'll be me.
There's an episode of Family Guy where it's like, I think it was like women's basketball or something, and it was like, oh, they're doing really well, but who's actually the team it's worth rooting for? That's for the fan to decide. Yay. There's one person in the audience.
Yeah, so, what do you guys think about the hype machine? Have you ever been hyped for something and it lived up to your expectations, or what disappointed you? Voice off in the comments.
Feel free to disagree with us.
Yeah, let us know. Go ahead and tell us like how you felt about a game, if you actually were truly excited about it, or if you felt the hype actually just made things worse.
In conclusion, I'm Deft Beck.
I'm the hype.
You're Slimeman J.
Yes.
Well, your voice got a lot deeper.
It did?
His balls finally dropped. And I'm Gamer Rez. See you next time.
See you, everyone.